To be successful, it takes hard work, energy, and a vision. Out there lies a yellow brick road for those who have the brains, the heart, and the courage to turn their dreams into reality. What's your yellow brick road?
Mini Pops encompasses my entire life at this point. It is my career, it is my job, it is my future. And that is what I decided, because my ultimate path was to be an entrepreneur, was to start my own business, develop my own business, and it's just a lot of persistence. It's a lot of drive to succeed. And what is the driving force? It's the ability to support myself, support my family, to make a comfortable living, and to not have to worry about money. I mean, people work because they need to make an income, and that's precisely what I'm doing here. And what better to do than to do something you love, and that is to start a business.
This is new. It looks like popcorn, but it's popped sorghum. That's a whole grain.
Sorghum?
It's a whole grain, and it's really good for you. It's less energy intensive to farm. You don't need chemicals to grow this.
Gluten-free, it says on the package
right,
there.
Right, it's gluten-free, and it also is higher in protein and iron than popcorn.
Do you mind if I pop it open?
No.
Here, hold on a second. I gotta try.
It really came down to, what am I going to do? Am I going to just, fizzle away, or am I going to persist and do something that is going to support myself and my family? And that's what I decided to do. That's when I started Mini Pops, and that's when the drive really started to burn. It actually happened where I was watching TV one day. The show was Bizarre Foods on the Travel Channel, and they were out in Ethiopia, which is actually quite a place where sorghum grain is quite common, in addition to other places in Africa, places in India, and they were eating popped sorghum grain out in Ethiopia. And I just looked at that and I said, "Huh, that looks pretty interesting. That might be something that I'd be interested in eating." And that's when I said, maybe I'll just call around. I'll call around to some natural food stores, health food stores, see if they have popped sorghum grain. So started making the phone calls, called Whole Foods, called natural food stores. I said, "Hey, do you guys have any popped sorghum grain?" And basically the answer that I was met with each time was, "Do you have any popped what?" Never heard of that before. The idea, the concept, I mean, Bizarre Foods didn't invent the concept. They just went to Ethiopia and displayed someone and showcased someone eating popped sorghum. So I thought, how else could we do marketing of our product? And I thought, well, maybe we should just, I'm a big fan of the show, maybe I should contact the source of that original idea. So I actually contacted Andrew Zimmern and started speaking to some of his people, some of his communications people. They told him about Mini Pops and about what I had built from watching that single episode, and he was very excited about it. I sent Mini Pops to his office and actually got a photograph of Andrew Zimmern eating Mini Pops and tweeting about it, saying how much he loved it, how much it was such a tasty treat. And at the moment, we are currently talking with his people. Celebrity endorsement, we call it. Maybe he'll just talk about it on Facebook, on Twitter. Maybe he'll make an appearance at a trade show. But it's all in talks right now. But the fact is that he's very much on board, because he was enthused by the concept of it. In researching where to source sorghum from, I discovered that sorghum is indeed a very common grain in the United States. It's farmed pretty much centralized in the southern central United States, and the reason being that's where the most optimal climate is to grow sorghum. Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, Arkansas, even southern Illinois actually, they all contain the climate necessary to grow sorghum. Very small little grains that inside contain starch as well as a little pocket of moisture, and that pocket of moisture is what heats up and causes the grain to explode when you pop it, just like corn is. There are people who have lots of expertise in this, but if I was able to do it, it saved a few bucks. So I came up with the Mini Pops packaging, the different flavors, the names of the flavors. Really from start to finish, I came up with all of this and it was really born out of I didn't want to pay for someone else to do it, so I did it myself. There are 8 different varieties. There is plain mini pops, and then 7 more flavored mini pops. And most of them are some of them are the more conventional. We have buttered, white cheddar, salted, pepper and herb. We have caramel flavor, almost like mini pops Cracker Jacks, which is the kind of the aim we were getting at. And it's trying to fill the spectrum of the different tastes out there. The current top sellers, interestingly, are really the most conventional flavors, the white cheddar, the butter, and the salted. People seem to really like to stick. They love the new innovative product. They like to stick with the more recognized flavors and the more comfortable flavors that have been traditionally with snack foods. It really did stem from somewhat of an, that's not an anger, but a frustration with, why am I letting other people dictate the course and the path of my own future? And that's really what drives me to each and every day, that I'm going to be the one to determine my own destiny and my own future, and I'm going to be the one who's going to support my family at whatever level I choose, and not someone else's choice. In a university setting, in a campus setting, everyone is there there are people there with these same expertise in marketing, in business. They've been in the business world. And the professors, the mentors, they're all there to help you succeed, help the business succeed. When you're when you're in college, hoping to then launch something upon graduation, or however long after graduation, they are there to help you develop this. Of course, we're now always going to be connected with Northeastern. It started at Northeastern, and the resources therein with Northeastern have been thus far very valuable for us, and financially beneficial. We don't have to always go out and try and pay an arm and a leg. I guess advice that I would give is that keep your passions and keep your keep your hobbies and keep all the things that you love to do, because those are necessary to maintain your sanity. But when it comes to focus, is this going to advance you to the next level? What do you really want to do? Where do you see yourself? I know it's kind of a interview question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? But where do you see yourself? I mean, do you see yourself at a 9-to-5 job, making a paycheck, or do you see yourself, comfortable taking nice vacations with your family and going on your boat? That's what I want, and that's what I want to focus my attention of the things that will advance that cause for me.
My name is Candace Cabe, and I created day-to-night convertible heels. High heel shoes that convert from high heels down to lower heels. I am still prototyping. I've been prototyping for a while now, but I'm getting very close to being able to produce them. The basic idea is that there's 5 different heel heights. This is the shortest and the tallest. So this is the shoe in the high position, and you'll be able to easily press a button and the heel will come off. And again, you can put on any one of these heels, and if you want to put on the lower position heel, just flex the shoe back down. We're creating our own unique patent pending sole that will go on a shoe. So the shoes typically aren't flexible in this manner, which ours will be flexible. So that's the key, is to allow it to be really flexible, to allow it to go up or down. So I'm very proud of this new prototype. It took me, it might not look so great to you, but it actually took me almost 10 months to create this, and I think it works very well. So you push the button and the heel comes off, and I know it sounds like a big revelation, but it is to me. And then it just easily pops right back on. And I only have 1 heel height at the moment, but obviously it's all going to be very similar to these, where there's going to be 5 different heel heights to it. So I think the main thing was because I was totally bootstrapping and I didn't have any funding behind me, and that's why it took so long. So I was trying to get free help as much as possible. And so I went to various universities asking them if they would be able to do either side projects or official internships, student projects, senior design projects. So I worked with a lot of mechanical engineering departments, but everything takes a long time, and when you're asking people to do things pro bono for free for you, it always takes way longer than it normally should. So had I had, $50,000, I probably could have hired a prototyping firm, an engineering firm, and said, this is exactly what I want. Can you get it to me? And I might have had it in a month. I had been working with different students, different universities. I knew what I wanted from the beginning. I've always said, make me a push button. Push it in and the heel will come out. Push it in again and the heel goes back in. But for some reason, the folks I was working with weren't able to accomplish that. And I finally was able to get this particular design done by my next door neighbor. So he was able to come up with what I wanted for me. And he also knows a lot about manufacturing and making, so it's not just designing something that works, but designing it so that it's easy to manufacture and the least expensive to manufacture. So when you're getting a mold made, you need to make sure that there isn't something called undercutting, which would complicate the design and basically make it so that the mold's not in one piece, there's multiple pieces, because when they injection mold the plastic, they need to be able to pull the piece out in one fell swoop, if you will. So he was able to design it in a way that it would make it very easy to manufacture and the least expensive as well. So the way that this is right now is this is a separate mold by itself, and then this base is also a mold, and then the button mechanism inside is another mold. We just literally got this 2 days ago, so I haven't been able to attach it to a shoe and walk on it, but that's next. I'm going to walk on it, figure out how much wear and tear it can hold up, how much weight it can hold, and then we're also going to do something called biomechanical testing, which will basically put this on our shoe and in a machine that will just sit there for 8 hours for the entire day and just keep pounding on it. And you put different load pressures, you put side weight, you straight up and down weight, different actions to it to see what will allow it to hold up. I was at something called Startup Weekend in Boston, in Cambridge, at the Microsoft Nerd Center, the New England Research and Development Center. Startup Weekend is 48 hours where there is roughly 100 people and you have 60 seconds to pitch any random idea that you can think of that you hope to turn into a business. So I went to Startup Weekend Boston and I pitched my convertible heels idea, and there was roughly 100 folks in the room and maybe only 7 women, and it was very tech heavy, a lot of programmers in the room. And when I was done pitching, literally all of the girls swarmed up to me and they said, this is the greatest idea ever, I want to work with you for the weekend. So I had most of the girls in the room working with me. We formed a team, we created a website, we created a WordPress blog, the Day to Night name, we branded ourselves, we had a logo, Facebook fan page, and a Twitter page, all within 48 hours. And we also had prototypes, so I asked everyone to go home, get together all their shoes and all the tools that they could think of. I believe it was years ago that I thought of it, but in general I'm a very creative person and I've always thought of business ideas and new product ideas since I was literally 5 years old, and this was just another one of my random crazy ideas that I had, but I didn't know how to get a business started. One of the first times I distinctively remember thinking of the idea was my very first job out of college, my very first corporate job. I had to get picked up at 5 a.m. to go to the airport, and we were flying down to Miami to go to a trade show.